Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this SQL video tutorial part 3, we're going to be going over the joins and the unions, which are very important to know how to use because it's what you're going to be using to bringing multiple different data sources together. Right, if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 of these tutorials, I highly recommend you to watch them first before you come down to the joins. That's because I give you a bit of, it's going to help you understand the data we are using for these tutorials, how to set your environment up, and how to run a lot of other different queries. If you don't want to watch part 1 and part 2, that's okay. I'm still going to have a link in the description where you can go to my GitHub repository and download the raw data I will be using for these tutorials so you can apply those queries yourself and learn. Right. So going down now to SQL, left joins, full joins, cross joins, and all the statements in SQL. Right, so we're going to be using the opportunities data and the account lookup. And what we're going to try to do is that we're going to, each time we have a new account number in our opportunities table, next to it, we want to add the, let's say, the name of the account, because we don't have a name of the account in the opportunities, and the industry of the account. So we want to add 2 new columns in opportunities data, and those 2 new columns are going to be coming from the account lookup. So what's the process now to run a left join? I'm going to start with left join. So it's going to be example 1, left join. So generally, when I run joins, I have 3 sort of rules I follow when I'm running joins, which I'm just going to copy them and paste them here. So the first thing I always do is that I need to select the columns I need from both tables that I'm going to join. So let's say from my first table, which is the opportunities data, I want to keep all columns. And from my second table, I only want to select the columns I need, which is basically the new account name and the industry name. The second step I have now is that I need to identify a column or columns that I can match the tables together. Because remember, now I'm only joining 2 tables. You can be running 3, 4, 5, 6 different tables together and joining them together. And maybe you're going to have more than one identifier. But in this case, we only have one identifier, which is the new account and no in both tables is the same. So we can use this for step 2. And step 3, I'm going to show you on the way. So let's start with step 1. First, for my table A, I want to say select. And I'm just going to specify all the columns names now. I'm not going to use all. So I'm going to say new account NO, then is opportunity ID, then is new opportunity name, then we have estimated completion month ID, estimated completion month ID, then we have product category, then we have opportunity stage, and then we have estimated opportunity value. It's going to be estimated opportunity value. Right, then I say from, and I put the name of my table. I'm 100% sure I've done a spelling mistake. Let's just test it. Wow, it runs. First time, guys. I'm a specialist in making spelling mistakes. Anyway, so now I've selected everything I need from my first table. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add brackets around it. So I closed it now. And I'm going to name this as A, small a. So I gave it a name to my table. Now I want to select everything I want from table B, which is going to be my second table. So from the lookup now, I want to select, excuse me, select a new account name and industry. So new account name, industry, and then from, and then I put the name of my lookup. If I select it, it runs good. So I've done step A now, step 1. Step 2 is that I need to identify the unique identifiers that I'm going to use to match them together, which we've already done. This is the new account and all, which means I have to add a new account and all in my second table. So here, I'm just going to copy it from above. I need to add another column, which is the one I'm going to use to join. Now I'm going to close this table, name it as B. And now I've completed step 1 and step 2. So all I have to do now is in between them type in left join. I'm showing left join first, and at the end I need to specify after the B table or the last table I'm joining, the two columns I'll be connecting them to. So no, the unique identifiers for the column I'm going to use to match them. So I need to say on a dot new account and all equals b dot new account and all. Sometimes they might have different names, but that's okay. It doesn't matter as long as they match. Is okay. So the step 3 now that I like to do is that I always like to push this data in, and then at the top I need to specify at the top which columns we need from each table. So in this case I can say select. I can say a dot all, which means it's going to select all the columns from table A. Table A is this table, and then I can say comma b dot new account name and b dot industry, and then say from, and now it's going to use it from A. It's going to use this query as A, it's going to use this query as B, and it's going to match A and B based on this information we've given down here. So if I run the whole thing now, we can see that it created 2 new columns at the end, and now we can see the account name based on the account NO, and we can also see the industry they belong to, which is very useful now because we can see more information and not just an ID. So just to explain you the difference now between left joins and full joins, if I run table A, again, we can see that we have a total number of rows down here on the right, if you check, of 4,133. Table B now, which is our lookup, has a total of 1,145 distinct accounts. Sorry, let me add this as a comment. So each time you're running a left join, it means that it's going to keep all the data from your first table, table A, and the tables you're left joining is only going to left join the data that exists in table A, meaning that if we have more accounts in table B that don't have an opportunity in table A, they are not going to come up, because a left join should only have at the end of the left join, we should only have the number of rows we have in table A. So if I run the whole thing now, I can see that I have a total of 4,133 accounts, rows for the whole thing, which is exactly the same, 133, which is exactly the same as the number of accounts we have, the number of rows, sorry, not accounts, we have in table A. So why is this important now? If I try and select the distinct, so let's say select distinct number of accounts from our opportunities, right? So what this is telling us is that we have a total of, if we check the number of rows we have, 1,139 accounts. I can use count, to be fair, to get it straight away. Excuse me. Now I want to repeat the same process, but now I want to select the distinct accounts we have in the second table, which is basically our account lookup. Oh, sorry. There we go. Paste. If I run this now, I can see that I have a total of 1,145, which means I'm basically missing 6 accounts, right? What have I done here? I need to delete this. So with this left join I've done, I've excluded 7 accounts that exist in table B, but they don't have any opportunities. This is why I'm not pulling them in my left join. Now if I run a full join now, which is the difference, it's going to bring everything from table A and table B together. This is why I'm showing you this number of accounts now. But before we move to a left join, I can show you a way to flush out those 6 accounts that are missing. So what we can do is that we can say select all from our lookup where the new account NO is not in. So I've shown in the SQL tutorial video part 1 how to use the not in, and here I can select the distinct accounts from my opportunities data. So I'm going to copy this query, copy it and paste it here. So what this whole query does now is that it's going to select everything from the account lookup where the accounts do not exist in the opportunity table. So if I run this, I can see now we have a total of 6 accounts, which is the difference between these two. And what we're basically saying is that we are not showing those 6 accounts in our left join because the left join only has all the data from table A. So I hope you understand this. Cool. So before we move on to the full join now, I'm going to show you another way of writing exactly the same thing and getting exactly the same results, but it's not best practice. But just because other people are using it, I need to show you how to do that too. Right, so another way of writing exactly the same query is just by saying select A dot all, comma, B dot, and I put the account name and the industry. And then we say from, we put this, the first table A, which is this table, we name it as A, and then we left join, and here we put our B, use the account lookup, we name it as B. Then we use exactly the same column to join them on, which is the account name, the new account NO, and that's basically it. So if I run this now, sorry, let me put it down, add a bit of difference. So if I run this now, I get 4,133 rows, which is exactly the same query and the same data as what we've run up here. Now, the reason I've shown you this one first is just because I consider the first bit to be best practice, and I consider this one to be, you know, when you're in a hurry and you want to write something very quickly. The difference is that if you have big data tables, which is the case in nowadays, and you are using this way of writing left joins, it's going to take you ages to run big data tables. Just because you are not filtering within the tables, you are not using smaller data sets. So what we are doing here, we are not really filtering from table A, but in real life, you're not going to need to select all the columns or you're not going to need to select all the rows. So you can add a where clause here and just, you know, cut the data in different based on different rules. The only difference we have is that for our table B, we are using a smaller subset. So we are only calling 1, 2, 3 columns for our table B. However, down here we are calling the whole table. If you have massive tables and you're calling the whole table, it's going to be taking ages to run. So this is the only like reasoning I have. Another one is that I consider this to be much cleaner, especially when you have multiple left joins. Maybe you have like 10 joins in a row and you want to know what's coming from where. If you have everything like this and you're calling the whole table, it's harder to, it's not as clean and it's harder to identify what's going right, what's going wrong if you run it this way. But it's up to you which way you want to follow, because this takes less time, but I consider this to be much faster and cleaner. So up to you. Right, so I've just shown you 2 ways of running the same thing. The second example I'm going to show you now is going to be the full join. So this is going to be example 2, and I'm just going to say full join. So for our full join now, we're going to use exactly the same query as we've used here, which is our left join. and we're just going to switch it to full join and see what's going to happen. So let's see. Let's run the whole thing. I've just changed left join to full join. And what we're seeing is that now we have a total number of rows, 4,139. So let's say this was before. And now we have after. Sorry. We have now instead of after. I'm going to put 39. So we've added a total of 6 accounts more, right? Which I've shown you. Those 6 accounts are these accounts here. However, if I scroll to find those 6 accounts, I should only be able to see nulls and just the last 2. So let's, oh, that was one. So wait, let me scroll all the way down. There we go. Right. So one of these accounts is this one, and is having nulls because for column new account NO, which it does exist on table B, I said that this column is only going to come from table A. So the only columns coming from B is new account name and industry, which you can see them being here, and anything else that comes from A, because I'm not calling it at the top, even though I'm using a full join, is not coming through. So the way to fix this now is that we need to call the individual columns by themselves and use a code that is called ISNULL, which allow us to say, if it's not in this table, then take it from this table. So how do we do this? I'm just going to copy quickly all the column names and paste them here, just so I'm going to save you time. And I want to say select A dot. So assuming we have A dot in everything, opportunity ID, then we need a comma. Right, so this is exactly the same now. I haven't really changed. I've changed the asterisk to the actual column names. So the way to now say, look, if the new account name, it doesn't exist in A, then search in B. So the way to do this is just type in here ISNULL A dot. So first it's going to check A. Then if it's not in A, I want him to check in B, which is basically is going to go into B and check if he can find this new account NO. And then name this whole column that you're going to create as new account NO. Then comma, and then continue with all the columns as they are, just because the next few columns, so all these columns, they don't exist in table B, so there is no point checking in table B to find those columns. So if I run this now and I scroll down to find one of those 6 accounts again, see this one. So now what it did is that it kept all the nulls for the columns that we don't have, which is these columns, all the columns A. And for the new account NO, it checked in table A, so our A, it did not find it, but it did find it in table B. So remember, this account now is it ends on 730, or it's more ending on 730. So I'm just going to copy it and run these 6 accounts here and see if we can find it. So 730, there we go, is this one. So we can see that straight away now with the full join, even though the accounts don't have opportunities, we can still call them by calling a full join. So another thing to do to maybe replace those nulls is use again the same ISNULL function up here. Say ISNULL ISNULL A dot opportunity ID. So opportunity ID doesn't exist in table B, but what I can say is I can say no opportunities. So if it's null, then it's going to put no opportunities as a map, and then name this column as opportunity ID, so as it is. So now if I run this now and I scroll down to find out what's going on, why did it took 3 seconds? That's lots. Right. So what it did now, you can see that it replaced the null with the no opportunities. So it's exactly what I put here. So if I want to basically have clean tables, I can map everything, so all the nulls to either no data or no opportunity name, or no month ID, or if I want to give the first month of the year, I can do whatever I want basically with this ISNULL here. Right, so I've shown you how to do the full join now. The next thing we're going to show is the cross join. So example 3 cross, what have I done? Example 3 cross join. Right, so we also have like inner joins and left outer joins, but I don't feel they are very important to learn, because inner join you can simply run a left join and then use a where clause and exclude everything from B, or right joins is literally you're using left joins instead of right joins. It's the same thing but from the other way around. So throughout my whole career I've never used right joins or inner joins once, just to see how they work really. You don't have to know them, but they're there. But it's going to be information overload. I think that's why I'm not covering them. But anyway, right. So the cross join now. So assuming we want to create a baseline for the remaining months until the end of the year, and this baseline is going to be by, let's say, product, and then I want to use the last month's value, so the max month's value that I have right now, and use that number as a baseline until the end of the year. So I somehow have to sum the values by product, because this baseline I want it to be by product, and then but for each product I want to create new lines for the remaining months. So how do we do that? I'm going to start exactly the same way as I start all my joins. I need to select the columns I need from my table A. So my table A now is going to be select so product category, because this baseline I want to create is going to be by product, comma, I want to sum the values. So I've shown how to do sums. Sum estimated opportunity value, opportunity value as I'm going to name it as baseline. I can name it as I want, baseline, then say from, and then the name of our table, which is going to be the opportunities. So I know this is opportunities, so this is future opportunities, but I'm just going to assume they are current figures and I'm creating a baseline. And then I want to say group by product category, and then run this. Right. So now what I've done is that I've summed all the opportunity value by product. However, I want to filter out the max, the latest opportunities for the latest month. So if let me just show you quickly. So select all from sorry, this table. So these opportunities are by months. So I don't want to sum all the months. I only want to use the last month's values. So I only want to sum the last month and use that last month, because I'm going to say, okay, if it happened this month, then it's probably going to keep on happening. Or maybe I could use the average of the last 3 months. But for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to say where the estimated completion month ID. So estimated completion month ID in, and I want to equals, and here is where I want to select the max month ID from this table, because the max month ID, it means is the last month that we have data for this product. So what I can say is that I can say select max estimated completion month ID from the same table. So I'm literally using the same table to write a subquery. So what this subquery says is that the last month ID that we had data was month ID 140, and now I'm just going to sum the value by product for this last month ID, which is 140. Right, so I've created my table A now, right? So what I want to do now with the cross join is that I want to use the calendar, and I want to assign next to each product category the remaining months until the end of the year. So assuming now is August, I want to add September, October, November, and December per product, and I want to use these values as the value for September, the value for December. So it's like a baseline. So because I'm assuming because they've achieved this now, they're going to achieve it further on. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible when it comes to using cross joins, which is where I'm using cross joins the most. So what I want to do is that I want to select let's just select all from our calendar just to see the columns we have. Copy, paste, then run the calendar, and then I want to copy this, paste it down here, and really I want to select the fiscal month, because I only want to add the fiscal month on my A, fiscal month, from the calendar. And I want to say, first of all, where the fiscal year equals, and I want to select the fiscal year FY20 because we are in FY20. And also, I want to say where the date is more than the current date, because I only want to have it for the remaining months. Because if I run this now, I should have all the months. Okay, we need distinct, as you can see. I've explained why we need to use distinct before. The distinct, and if I run this, I should have 12 months. There we go. So the next thing I want to do, I want to say end. So I need a second condition, and I want to say end date. So the date we have here. So if it appears in blue and you don't want it to be blue, you can add these square brackets, and it's going to remove the blue straight away. It's the same thing. And date, let's say, is more than, what I can do is I can say select get date. So what this select get date does is selects the current date of today. If I run it, it gives me the current date and the time. So you can see, guys, it's almost 12 o'clock on a Saturday night and I'm doing this video. So please appreciate it by clicking that like button. Okay, so what I'm doing now is that I'm saying, if I run the whole thing, is more than the get date. Okay, it didn't work. Right, the reason is wrong is because actually this calendar it should be FY19, not FY20 current year. That's why it's not treating it well. So different companies have different fiscal years, different calendars. This one I'm using is from January to December. It's not a weird one, so I should use FY19. If I run this now, I should have less months. So I only have August and after. But I want to exclude August because I have actual data for August. I want everything after August. What I can say here on the get date, I can say plus 30. So I know it's always going to be the current date plus 30. So it's always going to be next month. And if I run this now, it's going to give me everything but August. So cool. So now I want to uncomment this. Basically, let me move it out of the way. We don't need it. So now I have my A and I have my B. So I have my products and the sum of value for the last month. So I have 3 products and their values. I should have 4 products. Maybe this month ID doesn't have. Let me do -1. It doesn't have data basically. That's why. So it has 3. This month ID has 3. Oh, it has 4 this one. I'm going to use this one, but assume it's the max month ID. But I'm just going to use this one to have a bit more data. Right, so all I should do now to finish my cross join is literally say cross join here. Cross join. And then I don't have to match them two together because cross join is joining everything with everything. So each is going to join each line here with all the lines down here. So all I have to do at the top is just say select A.all, comma, B.all. Or I can say A dot and specify the column name. So these 2 column names. b.fiscal_month, oh, I need the from, or we need the from, and if I run all these now, there we go. You can see that labor now has been cross-joined with the remaining months, and it used the last month's -2 value as a baseline. Same way for projects, same way for services, same way for support. And this is how we use a cross-join. Cross-joins are important, don't get me wrong. It's just people don't really know how to use them. If you know how to use them, it can save you a lot of time because most people prefer to do this in Excel because it's just easier to copy and paste and move the data around. Cool. So we've shown cross-joins now. The last thing I want to show for this SQL tutorial is that A, we click the like button, and B, we show the unions. Right. So the first union we want to show, basically what does a union does first of all. Imagine the joins, you have a table here and a table here, and you just somehow joining them together. It might be a left join, a full join, or a cross join, but you're still joining from left to right. A union is basically when you're again joining, but from top to bottom. So you have 4 columns here, you have another 4 columns here, and then you union them together. So they're going to union like this and not next to each other. Right. So let's just go and copy paste that sum example we have up here and show you how and why we use union. So what this sum example here does is that it has, let's remove this opportunity stage, we don't want it. So what this does is sums all the estimated opportunity value by product category. Yeah, that's all it does. However, we don't have a total at the end of this summary here. We only have the data by product category. So assuming we wanted to add the total, what we could do, A, is generate that total value. So we can say select, and then we just sum everything basically from the table. So if you use the sum alone without any column beforehand, you don't have to use group by, because I'm not aggregating the data by any column. I'm just summing all the data as it is. But if, and now I can say union all, union all. However, union all is not going to work now because on my first table I have 2 columns, on the second I have 1 column. What I can do is I can create a column myself and name this column as totals, totals, and name this column as whatever, it doesn't matter, and then just run this. So whatever is totals, and then the sum is this sum. And on the union, it doesn't matter of the column names of your second or third or fourth table. You can union how many ever tables you want. All it matters is that they have the same column numbers, so 2 here and 2 at the top, and it's only going to take the first table's column names as column names. So as you can see, when I run this, I have the first 4 lines that come from table A. I haven't named the table A. You don't have to in unions. You don't have to close them with brackets and name them. In unions, you can just run them as they are. And then I have the totals at the end. So this is how we use unions. This is example 1. I'm going to give you one more example before we close this video, this tutorial. Example 1. And then example 2 is, I'm going to give you a more realistic example of where we use unions. It's basically, let's say we want to sum the opportunities, let me just select this, by quarter. So I want something that says to so FY19 or maybe FY20 Q1, let's say opportunity value, as name this as, let's say, period, because we put the period there, and then we sum the value from the table. And on the where clause, when I say where the so what do we have in this table again? Is the month. Sorry, I forgot the column name. Select all from table. So here I just want to sum the FY20 Q1 opportunities. So I'm going to use the estimated completion month ID to get the FY20 Q1 month ID, so I can sum the value. So I can say where estimated completion month ID in, and I can select the month ID from my calendar. Sorry. Where fiscal quarter equals, let me just select the whole calendar. It's here, just to see the column name is called. This is the structure, so it has to be FY20. Oh, come on. Right, FY20 Q1. So what this subquery does is selects the, we need distinct, obviously you can see. So distinct, month ID, capitals, Yannis, capitals. Right, so let's check it again. I need to click enter so we can see the whole screen. Right. So what this does is selects the months that are in FY20 Q1, and the query before that is just sums the value of the opportunities where the date is on FY20 Q1. So if I run all this now, I get FY20 Q1 opportunity value, and then the value we have of the opportunity Q1. And let's say I want to create a table that has FY20 Q1, FY20 Q2, Q3, and Q4, so we can see the forecast of the opportunities in the horizon. So I've done Q1 the same way. I can copy this, paste it down here, change this to Q2, change this to Q2. So now it's going to get Q2. This one is going to get 2 Q months at least, and this, the whole query is going to sum Q2. I can repeat Q3 and Q4. You kind of get the idea now of how this works. So this is Q3, this is Q4. I change my union to be Q3. I changed, sorry, my month IDs to be Q3, and this is Q4. And now all I have to do is just say union all in between them, and I'm going to create a nice clean table. Enter, that has FY20 Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then the value we expect to have for those opportunities. And all this can be done by union. Cool. So this is it. This is the end of our SQL tutorial. Again, if you like the videos, please click the like and subscribe button if you haven't done already, because I've asked for this like 100 million times, and I'm sorry for this. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If there is something you want me to explain better, or if there is something in SQL you want me to expand on, or if you have new ideas, then please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very, very much for watching.